Hi guys, I'm Dr. Chloe Costigan from Mobility Doc. On this week's edition of Mobility Doc Does Yoga, this is week 3 of core. We're focusing on Chaturanga. So this is so great because it helps us to make sure that we can understand this connection between our upper body and our core or our spine, okay? So what we're gonna first start with is we're gonna do a floor pec stretch. Then we're gonna move to shoulder taps. This is a great way to highlight some single side stability and will help you to identify if there's an asymmetry in terms of strength. Then you're going to do eccentric push-ups. Finally, for the strengthening, you are going to do push-up isometric holds. Now these are tough, but I have confidence in you. The floor pec stretch is a great way to improve the flexibility throughout the front of the entire shoulder. So through the pec obviously, but then also through this bicep area. The other thing too that we're going to focus on is getting external rotation through the shoulder. This is really important for any type of overhead motion. So that means that this bicep is going to be pointing out to the side. Let's take a look at what this looks like. I'm going to start by lying on my stomach, and I'll show you the positioning of this left arm as if I'm going to stretch this left side first. So my forearm is down on the ground. My left bicep is pointing up toward my fingertips as much as I can. So this shoulder isn't kind of turning in. Okay, so I'm trying to keep this elbow pointing down. Now, the other thing that I'm trying to do is make sure that this shoulder head isn't coming forward or my shoulder isn't coming up toward my ear. So I'm gonna place this forearm down as much as I can. I'm gonna place my upper arm bone down as much as I can. Then I'm going to kind of like peel my body over to the right, trying to keep as much of my left front of my shoulder down on the ground, and then I'm going to turn. Okay, so now let's see it from another vantage point. So if I'm stretching this right side, I'm going to, this is what I was talking about, that I'm stretching this right side. So I'm going to kind of peel myself over to the left as best as I can. Then I can bring this leg behind me, but I'm trying to keep this arm down as much as I can. What happens sometimes is people kind of lift themselves up. I want you to keep this down. You don't even necessarily have to cross this leg behind you, but you'll get a little bit more of a stretch if you do. Plank shoulder taps are helpful for improving single side shoulder stability. It also is a really great way to challenge your core. So let's get started. So I'm going to start first in a really good plank position. So I need to make sure that my shoulders are over my wrists, my back isn't rounded, I'm not overly arched, the back of my head is long. Then you're going to come into a plank position. Then I'm going to press through this left hand, and then I'm going to try to touch my right hand to my left shoulder, and then I'm going to come back and forth, just like this. Now, the thing that I'm focusing on though, is I'm trying to not shift my hips side to side. I'm also trying to make sure that I'm not pushing back into this down dog shape. I want to try to make sure that I'm keeping my shoulders over my wrists by pressing through my hands. And now when I go to unweight this left hand, I really need to press through this right hand. Try to keep this side of my pelvis down as best I can. Back and forth. Eccentric push-ups are helpful for improving your shoulder and core stability in order to be able to do multiple sets and reps of push-ups. The best way to go about building your strength in a push-up position is to do these eccentrics. I'm going to show you a variation from the ground as well as from a chair or from an incline, because those two ways are going to be most useful. If you do push-ups from your knees, you're not actually getting as much benefit out of it because you've kind of changed some of your body proportions, so it's going to be a little bit harder to have a functional carryover. For a eccentric push-up, what we're doing is we are focusing on slowly lowering down as best we can. So I'm trying to focus on one unit. This eccentric contraction is when we slowly let this muscle lengthen as you lower it down. Now, what you guys just need to focus on is making sure that you're moving as a single unit and slowly lowering down. The thing that we see most frequently is people will either keep their butt up or drop their butt down. So you want to try to stay as one unit. Now, if you have difficulty doing about a set of 5 or so of those from the ground, what I suggest is grab a chair or grab a bench, and do a mix of those. So when I'm here, I'm gonna do the same exact thing. So now I'm focusing on slowly lowering down, staying as one unit as I lower down. So just lowering down, then coming to the knees, and then repeating again. The other thing I want you guys to make sure of is choose whichever one allows you to move with the best technique. So you want to keep your shoulders away from your ears, you want to make sure that the shoulder heads aren't rolling forward and that the hips aren't hiking up. So what we're going to first start with is we're going to do a floor pec stretch. Now you want to do this for 30 seconds on each side. Then we're going to move to shoulder taps. We're going to do a set of 10 on each side. So you're going to alternate back and forth, so a total of 20. Then you're going to do eccentric push-ups. So you're going to lower down to the ground. Try to do that for a total of 5 seconds. And you're going to do 5 of those. So take 5 seconds to lower yourself all the way down. Repeat that 5 times. An isometric hold push-up is really helpful for building some stability in that push-up position. I'm going to show you 2 variations, one from the ground and one from an incline. You're going to choose whichever one allows you to best reinforce a good technique. This is really helpful because it's teaching your body how to have a really stable foundation, particularly when you have lowered all the way down and then you're trying to come back up, because that's typically where someone's form starts to fall apart. You're going to start first in a plank position, and then you're going to lower down. I'm lowering down as one unit, and then you're going to hold here. You're going to try to hold for at least 3 to 5 seconds. I need to focus on pushing my hands into the ground in order to maintain that position. Doing this from a chair is also a really great way to teach yourself how to stay in that position as you're still building up some of that strength to be able to do it from the ground. From an incline position, I'm going to start in that same push-up plank position, and then I'm going to lower down all as one unit. Remember, my hips aren't coming up, they're not dropping down, staying just as one unit, and I'm going to hold for 5 seconds, then come down to the knees. Remember, do it either from the ground or from the chair, but what you're going to do is you're going to lower yourself down into that lowest push-up position that you can. And that might be halfway down, that might be close to like just an inch away from the ground. It doesn't matter which way it is. But you're going to hold that for 3 to 5 breaths, and you're going to repeat that 5 times. When you give week 3 of the core series a try, make sure to comment on our YouTube. We really appreciate your feedback, and also make sure to share it with a friend.